Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Can't Believe this is our last Refocus and Rebuild session today. And it's a topic that I am looking forward to learning more about these scammers and emails and phone calls and how we can bypass that. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and I'm happy to partner with the um, uh, Southwest Virginia Small Business Development Centers, UVA's College at Wise Office of Economic Development, and AEGIS IT Solutions to provide this series over the past, well, since February. Just a few housekeeping things before I turn it over to our co-host. We are recording this session today for training and education purposes. It will be available on the Virginia Community Capital's Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel, as well as we'll share it on the SBDCs that you can have access to it. They're small business development centers. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call on us. I will be happy at the end of the session to send you Jonathan's slides that you can have. But our mission today is to help you connect to new resources and to learn new tips for handling all of this with the spam callers and emails. So I'm going to turn it over to Cindy Fields with the Virginia Highlands Small Business Development Center, and she will be hosting the rest of the session. So again, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are thrilled to be here again with Jonathan EVENDEN with AEGIS Information Technology Solutions. Jonathan has been wonderful throughout this series, and we are excited today to hear more from him on a topic that is an irritant to all of us. So we are excited to hear what he has to tell us and how we might solve this situation. Jonathan and his team are always available to you. And if you need to be able to contact them, you can contact them directly, or you can reach out to the SBDCs. But their team is happy to assist you with any IT situations that you run into. So Jonathan, welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, guys. I've really appreciated the opportunity to do this series, and I've greatly enjoyed giving these presentations. So today, for our last topic, we're going to discuss how to recognize scammers, basically focusing email, phone, and texting. Those tend to be the most common ways that they get people. Because there's so many different scams out there, we're just going to focus on the ones that we see most frequently. And I'm going to spend most of the time talking about what the scams are and how to recognize them, because prevention is somewhat difficult, mostly because scammers are constantly changing their email addresses, they're constantly changing their phone numbers. But if you recognize them and if you know that a scam is occurring, that's basically the best defense, because then you can either get off the phone or not reply to the email or not click the link, and then the scam is neutralized. So let's get into this. So just by way of introduction, I've been fixing computers as a hobby for a long time and discovered that people would actually pay to have them fixed, which was a wonderful discovery. I've been in enterprise IT since 2005, basically after college, and I started this company in 2012 and have absolutely loved working for myself and working with computers. So AEGIS IT, we provide quality IT consulting and business solutions found on personal character integrity. We sell hardware, we sell software, we support hardware, we support software, we provide managed IT services, so antivirus, remote access, and we also do disaster recovery and prevention. We spend a lot of time doing backups. We've got entire talks in this series on disaster recovery. And as the occasion allows, we do harass scammers, although not necessarily as well as, say, a James Veach or Mark Rober. Both of those guys you can find on YouTube. James Veach in particular has just some fantastic content on dealing with scammers. So quick overview, scammers and fraud. I mean, that's been around for as long as there's been humans. The big difference is that technology has just made it super easy. You can send an email out to millions of people all over the world, whereas, say, a couple thousand years ago, it was much harder to reach people on the other side of the world. So it's enabled instant access to pretty much anyone, anywhere. So the first iteration really of using this type of technology, the junk faxes, I do remember those. They're annoying. They're particularly expensive because you're the one paying toner and paper to receive the fax. And basically, it was one of the first methods of letting scammers get to people in a manner that was quick and cheap versus dropping a letter in the mail. Although there's certainly plenty of chain mail letters and other such scams that occurred by mail, but that is tedious. That takes time, and you're now talking a couple days to get a letter from one place to another. Whereas the fax, you dial someone up and boom, the fax is there. So at this point, we hardly see them. Even though people use fax machines, it's been a long time since I've seen junk faxes. But that was one of the first iterations of using scams by technology, at least in this context. So as more people adopted email became a major delivery point for scamming and fraud. It's even better than faxing because now you can send emails for considerably less money than what it costs to send a fax. Now, if you're just using Outlook, you're thinking, I don't pay per email, but that's because you're not sending out a couple million emails at once. So if you've ever done any email marketing, such as a Constant Contact or MailChimp or some other service, then you're paying per email because it takes money and resources to send out more than a few emails at once. So even if you're paying for email, it's still cheaper to send out scams and frauds to 10 million people that way than it is by faxing. And so you also don't have any extra cost for international, so that expands your reach in a method that is pretty much anyone with an email address. Additionally, phone calls are particularly effective because now you have direct communication with somebody. There's also only so many numbers available, so you'll have robodialers that will just dial random numbers all day long, and then whoever picks up, then you get a person on the phone. And so these are particularly effective because now you're talking to somebody directly. It's basically a point-to-point conversation. They're expensive in that you're now placing a phone call, but you also have a much higher rate of getting someone to pay you than say email because of spam filtering. Texting is also almost ubiquitous, like text scams, and that has been one of the newer methods of attacks. I started getting text messages maybe a couple of years ago, and they're really annoying because they're much harder to block. I can choose not to pick up the phone. I can choose to delete an email, but texting, they come in and there's less options for blocking text messages. So that's why that's been another attack vector, especially since if you're sending out bulk text messaging through something like a Twilio, you're paying half a penny a text or less. So you can text 10,000 people for basically next to nothing. And as well as because there's not, like with email, you have spam filtering, so there's a decent chance that those you send out 50 million emails, a whole bunch of them are going to get caught. But with text messaging, that's going in someone's inbox. They're going to see that text message. So let's talk about some important definitions. This will help set sort of the tone, as well as talk about some general principles when it comes to these scams. I'm going to give some important things. So first of all, direct sales is not a scam, not necessarily. There are still plenty of direct sales that happen by phone, email, or texting, especially people who have to do cold calling for a living. Please don't confuse someone who's doing direct sales with someone who's trying to scam you. Although, that could be the case, and scammers will attempt to pretend to be like they're in direct sales. But I just want to make sure that everyone knows that, so just because someone's directly trying to sell to you, that doesn't mean that they're trying to scam you. There's plenty of legitimate sales that happen this way. So phishing is for email. And yes, they spell it with PH because we're geeks and we like to do things like that. So that's basically your targeted emails looking to compromise a specific person or group of people. You've even got something like spear phishing, where you're targeting that one person. I think there's even a term whale phishing when you're looking for like getting into the CEO or the CFO's computer and you're targeting them directly. So These are email scams that are specifically trying to get into one person, and you tailor an email for them. And I've got an example of that later in the presentation to show you what that looks like. 419, this is one of the early ones. This goes back to even the late 90s. This is where, you know, some Nigerian prince or some Nigerian king or some person has got $50 million and they're stuck in the country and they really want you to pay some sort of transfer fee and then you can get the money out. And typically it was a money order fraud, because now you got to wire the money or send a Western Union money order over to Nigeria and then nothing ever shows up. So those are less common to see people get send money that way, mostly because spam filtering is pretty good when it comes to these scams. I still see them in my spam filter, so they're still going out, they still exist, but it has been a really long time since one of those actually landed in my inbox. Gift cards, please never, ever, ever, ever use these as payments for anything. Almost any time a gift card is involved, it's a scam. They are easy to redeem. You can turn them into untraceable cash. I actually had this happen a couple of weeks ago, meaning someone tried to do this to me. And it was a twist on this where I've got an email address with one of my clients because I do enough business with them that they want me to have a separate email address just for their purposes. And I got an email from a high-ranking person in the organization that I actually just recently connected with on LinkedIn, and the person was asking me to buy a bunch of gift cards to give to staff. I was like, this is sort of an odd request, but I replied back because they asked us to do a bunch of things. And as soon as he mentioned gift cards, I was like, okay, the jig's up. I know this is not legitimate. And but there was a whole conversation, and it was basically an impersonation. He was pretending to be this high-ranking person, but as soon as he mentioned gift cards, it's like, okay, we're done. That's it. No more conversation, because this is now turned to scam. Please, the IRS are frequently involved, meaning people they're a highly targeted impersonation. We see a lot of calls where someone is pretending to be the IRS because the IRS is big and scary, and I've got them mentioned specifically on a later slide. The most important thing to tell people is that the IRS will not call you. If someone is pretending to be the IRS, it's not the IRS. The IRS always, 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 always sends a letter first. That doesn't mean they won't talk to you on the phone, but they will always send a letter first. They do not call you to initiate conversation. They will also never ask you for payment in gift cards. So if you've got the IRS asking you for gift cards, that's a double whammy on the fraud factor. And Microsoft tech support, tons of these phone calls happen every day. Microsoft will not call you unless you open a ticket with them. As someone who has talked to Microsoft many, many times, I do get calls from Microsoft. It's always from a specific department. They're always referencing a ticket number that I've opened. They don't just call me out of the blue offering to give me free support or offering to give me paid support in this case. They're not going to call you. Frequently the scam is that they're calling you because they detected your computer doing something on the internet. That Microsoft's not going to call you for that. That's just important to know. All right, some other important items to note. Scammers target two key motivators for people, and this helps us understand why these keep occurring. First of all, they're targeting fear. Basically, they want you to think that you are in trouble if you do not follow their instructions. And it's easy to think when you're outside of the situation, oh, why would somebody do this? Well, they're afraid that the IRS is going to come in and shut them down. They're afraid that their computer is causing problems and their information is compromised. They're afraid that, if they don't do this thing, then something's going to happen. So scammers tend to be really good at the psychology of getting people to be afraid that there's a problem, and the scammer is the person that can help you get that problem fixed. The other basic motivator is greed. You will make money, you're going to win a vacation, you're going to win a car, or you're just something positive is going to happen that you will gain from if you follow their instructions. So between the fear and the greed, those are very basic motivators for humans. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't speak to it in detail. This is typically what we see in play when we talk to people who are subject to these scams. All right, and it's also important to note that if you fall prey to a scam, this doesn't mean you're stupid. This doesn't mean you're unintelligent. It just means you got scammed. I know plenty of people that are smart or they're intelligent and they fall victim to it. Sometimes it's because of lack of common sense. Sometimes it just means that they're getting played on their ignorance. Maybe they didn't know, or they've never heard of this, or just because you've heard of these scams doesn't mean that everyone has. There's plenty of people who've never heard of some of the things I'm going to talk about today. And so this doesn't make them stupid. This doesn't make them unintelligent. It just means that someone was able to play them. I do know that there's a family relative or someone in my family who I consider to be very smart and intelligent. They did fall victim to this. It's not because they're stupid. They just got taken. That's what it comes down to. All right, so let's talk about some specific scams. I've got some emails to go through. Just because of how many different scams there are, we'll focus on some of the more common ones. Basically, these are the ones that we see all the time, or we do get clients that ask us, is this a scam? Is that a scam? And these are the ones that come up the most frequently. You've got your basic 419, your Nigerian prints. These are the reference of 419 is the section of the criminal code in Nigeria that covers these activities. Basically, you send in, X amount of dollars to get Y amount of dollars back. Once again, it's been a long time since I've seen one of these in my inbox, but they were extremely popular. Late 90s, early 2000s, maybe even to the 2010s. Phishing, once again, this is going to be a specific attempt to steal your banking credentials. Maybe they want to get into your email. They're going to want to siphon other information. It's a very targeted attempt. Ransomware, usually it's seen as a PDF or a zip or sometimes an HTML. I've got a picture of one on a later slide. It's an HTML file that's got that asks your computer to download a virus. Oftentimes it's a missed FedEx delivery, or sometimes it's an invoice from a vendor. Basically, once the virus is installed, you must pay to get your data back. It's really nasty. The only way to counter it is either not click it in the first place or make sure you have really good backups. Basically, anybody that we've had that has gotten attacked by ransomware, backups are the only thing that save them. And impersonation is a big deal. Basically, you're pretending to be someone else, possibly a spoofed email. Actually, 5 minutes before the start of this presentation, I had an email from a client asking about what they can do about an impersonation attack. Someone is pretending to be the director of a nonprofit asking for gift cards. Combination of a couple of attacks. And you look at the email header, and it's from a random Gmail that they've used, and there's nothing we can do. Basically, the only option is to report them to Gmail. So in this case, the person is pretending to be the director of the nonprofit, and because they're not using their domain, we can't actually turn off that activity. All we can do is report it to Gmail and hope that they'll get shut down. All right, so let's go into the specifics here. So I happen to save this email. I actually pulled this out of my spam filter knowing that I was going to be giving this presentation. So this is a great example of what's essentially a ransomware attack. This is a combination of multiple things. So we've got some impersonation, meaning that this person is pretending to be me. We've got phishing, because they're sending me specific information that's targeting me. And this is going to be a ransomware, meaning once I run this, my computer's going to be locked and they're going to, want me to pay to get it back. So just sort of going through this. So you'll see the top line is the from. So the phishing part is it's from AR, which is accounts receivable, essentially, at thinkaegis.com, which is not a valid email. So I do not have either an email or an alias at AR. You've also got a reply from SharePoint at thinkaegis.com, which is also not a valid email. I don't have an email at that. You've got a no reply at SharePoint Online. And then finally, on the very right, I've blacked it out to protect the innocent, the actual email address that was compromised. So that's the email of the person that sent this email, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it was them. It just means that someone got a hold of their account. And this comes in, the subject is your income cash statement, and it says that it's an SLX, so it's saying that it's a Excel spreadsheet. And so basically what they're trying to do is they're pretending that they've shared a Excel spreadsheet that has information on my business, so that's where the targeted part is. It's pretending like it's hosted on SharePoint, so you've got the Microsoft logo down on the bottom left. And they want me to click on the link or open the attachment and see apparently my income cash statement. And it's cash flow. Statement of cash flows is what the actual title of the report is. You've got your income statement. So there's all sorts of things that are wrong with this. You've got misspellings. Just to be clear, this file will work for anyone in thinkaegis.com. So that means apparently I'm sharing sensitive business information with any employee that wants to see it, which is not the case. And so down at the bottom, you'll see one attachment, SharePoint-Jonathan@thinkaegis.com.html. So they're pretending that it's an Excel spreadsheet, and really it is a website. And that website, if you were to open it up, and I opened it in Notepad, and you look at the code, and it's got a bunch of encoded code. Doesn't sound great. It's got a bunch of code that will result in downloading ransomware and take over my computer. So this is a combination of multiple things at once, and people click on this all the time. If in this case, this is a particularly bad example because you've got random things all over the place, and it's from email addresses that don't exist. But if it looks like you can get a FedEx email and copy it exactly. You can get your password needs to be reset on Office 365 and copy it exactly and then send it out. And so that's where it becomes incredibly effective. And people do click on this all the time. So this is a particularly challenging thing. And so in this case, I could tell pretty quickly that this is a scam, not only because it went into my spam folder, but just because I've got all these email addresses that don't exist, as well as you've got a mismatch between it says, hey, we've got an Excel spreadsheet, and in the bottom it's actually HTML. So there's all sorts of things wrong with this. And in my case, I'm careful to open up email attachments from people that I don't know. That's basically the best prevention. But they do make it through spam filters. That's important to note. Just because it's in your inbox does not make it legitimate, and just because it says it's from FedEx or here's an invoice that was missed from a client, that does not make it legitimate. So this is a particularly nasty and effective way of having your computer compromised. All right, so I've got a sample of 419. I pulled this from the internet. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen one of these, so I didn't have one handy. So Mr. Kennedy Uzoka info@ubk.org, wherever UBK is. United Bank of Africa, Africa's global bank. On behalf of the board and management of international monetary funds in conjunction with the African Union, has directed us to pay you $1,500,000 in cash through means of diplomatic courier service, hand delivered. Really, that's interesting. We have been working towards the eradication of fraudsters and scam artists in Africa with the help of the African Union. That's a fourth wall breaker right there. We have been able to track down some scam artists in various parts of African countries, which includes Nigeria, and they're all in the government custody now and will appear soon for justice. Basically, send us money. We're using this money to send you money that we recovered from scam artists. So kindly forward your home address and direct phone number to this, Yahoo email, this Google, and regards. And so, this is a classic scam. These were extremely popular. I know people who have replied to them. James Beach on YouTube has some fantastic YouTube videos on replying to these scammers and just stringing them along. I don't recommend you do that. It's a time waster. And then, if you reply from your actual email address, you'll get a lot more of these. So overpayment scam email. So basically, someone offers to buy something you have for sale. Maybe you've got it listed on Craigslist. Maybe you've got it listed on eBay. Maybe you've got it listed on, not necessarily Amazon because you've got a great cart on Amazon, but anything where someone can contact another person. And they're basically saying, hey, we're gonna pay you more than what you have it listed for. And they send you a check. One of my friends actually got one of these emails and wanted to see how far he'd get the person to go. So the person actually sent him a check, and it was for some random bank out of Texas, and it was probably, a fake check and all that. So yeah, they express mailed him a check trying to get him to cash it. And basically you're then asked to forward the extra amount to some other person that either the buyer owes or is somehow connected. So let's say I list an item for $1,000. They'll say, hey, I'm sending you a check for $2,000. And so that means, there's an extra $1,000 left over. So can you take that $1,000 and forward it to the person? So of course, the real question is, why don't you just take that check and send it yourself? Why do I have to get involved? But, because it's a scam, that's what they want you to do. And so alternatively, you're asked for a refund or forward that overpayment amount to a specific bank account. And basically the idea is that you'll get the check, the $2,000 will clear. And so then the scammer's hoping that you'll send the money on before the bank realizes that this is fraudulent. So if you wire the money or ACH the money or Venmo it, or send it through some other method, then you're not getting that money back. Because what will happen is eventually the reconciliation will occur and that $2,000 will come out of your account and you're on the hook for the whole amount. Even though it doesn't matter that you've sent the money, that money's gone and now you're out $1,000 in this particular case. So that's what they're trying to get you to do. And usually this is done over email, and the buyer is typically insistent on making sure you get the check and making sure you forward the money because they don't get paid unless you send that money on. So that's why I call this an email scam. It's possible that you get this on the phone, but most of the time we see this is done by email. All right, impersonation. So impersonation is a hot topic. We see this very frequently. I've got a great email. This is an email I saved. This style of email, we saw a ton of these, and I got a funny story after I show you this whole thing. I have edited it ever so slightly because, part of it's not safe for work. So, hello, we got off to a good start. As you may have noticed, I sent you an email from your account, and that's what's happening. The person is impersonating your own email, so it's coming from you to you. This means I have full access to your operating system. I've been watching you for a few months now. The fact is you were infected with malware through an adult site that you have visited. None of this is true. Maybe. If you're not familiar with this, I will explain. Trojan virus gives me full access and control over a computer, and that means I can see everything you do, turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, but you don't know about it. I have access to all your contacts, all your correspondence. Why did your antivirus not pick it up? Blah, blah, blah. All right, so here's where we get to the fear part. I made a video showing how let's just say it involves a single person. In the left half of the screen and the right half, you see the video that we watched, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to send this video to all your contacts. That's the fear. It's going to be embarrassment and shame if you don't do what the scammer says. Post that, and if you want to prevent this, send X amount of dollars to my Bitcoin address, and here's your Bitcoin address. After receiving the payment, I will delete the video. You'll never hear from me again. I'll give you 48 hours to pay. I have made notice. The timer will work. You can't file a complaint, so don't bother going to the police. And if you don't do this, I'll share the video immediately. And just to be polite, best regards at the end. So this works only if they can send an email as you. We got a ton of these a couple years ago. They're not as popular this year. I've not seen as many of them this year, but these were all over the place a couple years ago. The TMI part is one client called me up asking if an iPad could be hacked because that was the only place that he watched that kind of stuff. I was like, no, please stop. No, I don't need to know that. And no, your iPad's fine. This is a scam. So for the most part, this is a scam, but basically they're preying on fear of having this information leaked or, having something like this leaked, and they're preying on how many, people do that kind of stuff. So it's very much a scam. Best thing you can do is just delete the email and move on. So let's talk about phones. Phone scammers are typically trying to convince you that they are someone else. Maybe it's tech support. Maybe it's the IRS. Maybe they're trying to convince you that you want a prize and you just need to give them money to get that dream vacation that you've always wanted. Car extended warranty. Oh my goodness, I hate these guys. Repay student loans. I still get those messages, even though those are long gone. Travel scams, all you got to do is give us this information and we'll give you this free trip to Bermuda or something like that. And the list just goes on. There are so many of these. I just picked the ones that we get called about. Like I basically get calls on these myself. Sometimes it's cheaper meds. Sometimes, it's just the list goes on. So let's talk about tech support. Tech support scams want you to pay them money for their fake security software. Typically, it's a couple $100s. Oh, that's the next point. Usually a couple $100. They want to remotely connect to your computer and show you error messages in your event log, and then tell you that you have a serious problem that only their software can fix. Aren't they being just so helpful and so wonderful? Basically, every computer is going to have error message in the event log. That's just how it goes. It doesn't mean you have a problem. It just means that there's error messages and warnings. That's all there is to it. And so they're going to spend their time. They sort of come off as this condescending expert, meaning they want you to, go to this, log me in or join.me or some other website, and they want to remotely connect, and then they'll take over the computer. There's different variations on this. Maybe they'll show you that you overpaid them on something or that you got a refund. Sometimes they'll just want to they just want to install the antivirus software that doesn't really do anything. There's a bunch of different variations on this, but the bottom line is they want to get on your computer. Sometimes they can call you directly. Sometimes they'll give you a fake pop-up ad, and they'll have this glaring message: "Oh, Microsoft has been infected. Microsoft security detected." I just fixed that for a client yesterday. And they are very easy to harass and troll if you know what you're doing. I don't recommend it. I personally have had quite a bit of fun in some of these conversations because I can play dumb. And I got them all twisted up, and they transferred me 3 times because I was being so polite, but yet so stupid at the same time. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's time intensive, and I don't necessarily have the time to leave them on. Mark Rober, who I sent out a link to Mark Rober video. He's got a very excellent video on some of the back end of how to handle this, and I highly recommend it. I meant to put a link to that video in this presentation, and I didn't. Phone scams, the IRS. These are the scary people. These are the ones that you don't want to tangle with the IRS. That's just all there is to it. And so if you owe money to the IRS, just even the reputation is typically going to cause action. So they're really preying on fear. And so basically, the people are calling pretending to be the IRS and tell you that you have a problem and that you need to pay the money. This is actually what got one of my relatives, and so that's how they fell prey to it. Is the person was pretending to be the IRS. And so typically they want you to buy them gift cards or some other currency that's easy to use and hide. And the IRS is not looking for payment for your tax bill and gift cards. So please don't do that. And once again, they don't call you. They send a letter first, and gift cards are not how you pay them. So, at that point, the easiest thing to do is hang up. The reason why they're so hard to track in these situations is that they're going to change the phone number. They'll basically get a bunch of people, scam them, and then ditch the phone number. And so it's just this never-ending cycle of whack-a-mole in terms of you've got this phone number that works for just a small period of time, and then it doesn't anymore because they stopped using it. Phone scam, you want a prize. This appeals to greed. Free stuff. Your personal information is valuable, but these scams typically have some type of fee to claim the prize, and that's where the scam artist makes their money. So chances are you did not win anything. Let's just be honest. And if you didn't buy a ticket, you most definitely did not win anything. I do remember the first time I actually had a conversation with somebody like this. I was back in high school, late 90s. They called up. They said, "Hey, you entered a contest and you won your choice of a Ford Explorer or a vacation." And I was like, "I don't remember entering it." "Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you won it. We just need a bunch of information from you." I'm like, no, I did not enter. So yeah, if you didn't enter it, you didn't win it. And chances are if you did enter it, you probably didn't win it either. So let's just be honest. And they can be small items to cars and vacations. Really, they want you to pay the fee and claim the prize that way. Other phone scams, the car warranty. These guys are constantly driving me crazy. I hate these phone calls. I get these phone calls multiple times a month. They just will not leave me alone. No, they will not give you a warranty on your car. Yes, they will take your money. and please don't give them money. We don't want to give them more money to continue their operations. There's news about, I think it was like 40 people that got busted earlier this year, and it was, they were making millions of dollars selling these non-existent car warranties. So once again, they're preying on fear. They want people to, they're afraid of their cars, for a lot of, my car is one of my more valuable assets. Let's be honest. I spend a lot of time in my car. I need it for work. And so, they're preying on the fear of, if your car breaks down, what are you going to do? And we've got an option that will help you. So, texting is a new vector. I've only recently, within the past couple of years, started getting text message scam attempts. So in the grand scheme of things, it's newer, but they're starting to increase in frequency. I have actually, the ones that I've seen most directly are asking me if I want to do work cleaning offices, and like it's they're saying, hey, we're moving to the area, we need you to clean this, or we've got a business cleaning, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars. And usually it's pretty good. Like they're offering a pretty high rate compared to what you typically make if you're going to go out and clean on your own. And the scam is an overpayment type. And I pulled this directly from a website, which I linked at the bottom of the slide. So this is not me typing this up. We'd like to have it cleaned on the 1st next month. Might request the cleaner who says, let's charge $400. The scammer will begin building a relationship with the victim before the actual services are rendered. After several phone conversations, emails meant to gain the victim's confidence, the scammer sends the cleaner a money order for $1,400 instead of $400, saying it was a mistake. Quick asks the victim to deposit the money in bank account, keeping $400 for the service, and send $1,000 to a moving company for them. The moving company would be the one that would bring the stuff in. What just happened was the money order was a fake, and the cleaner's out $1,000 of his own hard-earned money. Also, there's no such thing as a moving company either. Everything is made up. When they try to contact the scammer, the phone is disconnected, the email is canceled, the moving company is non-existent. So I pulled that text straight from that website. So I've never replied to any of these text messages, only because I don't want them to confirm that it's legitimate. Whereas I've replied, I've picked up the phone and talked to some of the fake tech support people only because I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do. And it was, I enjoyed it immensely. But yeah, so this is sort of the new thing. It's the same old thing, meaning it's the same scam. It's still an overpayment scam, but it's just a new way to trick people into doing it. So let's talk about prevention. Some of these are actually harder to prevent than others. So the biggest issue is that scammers are constantly changing numbers and emails. So like, for example, I've got caller ID software on my smartphone. I can block phone numbers, but frankly, it doesn't matter, because if I block the phone number this week, they're just going to use another one next week. And because there's only so many phone numbers out there, it's not uncommon for them to impersonate someone else with the phone. I have gotten random phone calls and text messages from people saying, stop, or why are you calling me? I'm like, I'm sorry, it was not me that called you. Someone is impersonating my work phone number, and there's basically nothing I can do about it. And it's pretty frustrating, actually. With phone scams, hanging up is just the best option. Once you realize it's a scam, just hang up with them and don't go any further. Unless you're the type that really wants to string them along, then go for it. But I personally wouldn't encourage that unless you're very confident and knowledgeable in that particular scam. The email scams basically don't click on the attachments, and it's just a great principle in general. I mean, even with good scam and spam filters these days, you're still not going to be 100% on this, and stuff will make it into your inbox that will cause serious problems if you click on it. So our general recommendation is don't click on attachments you're not expecting, and always check who it's coming from. Make sure that, like in my case, I've got email from essentially someone that's pretending to be my domain, but it's not legitimate email address. That's a big deal. We have found implementing a basic auto attendant for phone systems helps cut down on the robodialers, because they're basically trying to get someone on the phone, and if they pick up an auto attendant, the robodialer is going to hang up and move on to someone else, especially if you have it go on for like 30 seconds. Because then the robodialer can't do anything with it, and it doesn't necessarily know how to press buttons for, press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, that kind of deal. Email impersonation is easy to prevent as long as it's your domain. We can turn on DMARC and DCAM. That does require some IT expertise because if you set it up wrong, you will break your email. And I've talked about that in some other talks. If they're impersonating you by using Gmail, too bad. Once again, there's not a whole lot you can do because Gmail is easy to sign up for. They can use it for a period of time, and then if it gets burned, that's it. They're done. So in conclusion, I'd love to talk about this more, but we only have so much time and there's only so many scams I can cover. Be wise when you answer the phone and read your email. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If someone's offering you more money, they're not. They want your money. If someone's offering you a prize that you didn't apply for or game for, it's not a prize. If an email sounds off, pick up the phone and call. All instances that we've seen people get taken by impersonation, a simple phone call would have resolved the problem. There's been a couple other times I've got some stories of clients that came super close to having a bunch of money stolen. And the only reason it didn't happen is because someone picked up the phone and called. And actually, that is, especially if you got a compromised email account, picking up the phone is a fantastic thing to do. And that's about the only thing that will ultimately ensure that you don't get taken. And no, you will not get that car warranty. Please just stop. No. And then when in doubt, you can always ask someone who's more familiar with this. We get emails all the time from clients asking, if this is a scam or not. The only downside is that sometimes it ends up in my spam filter, so I don't actually see it. So that's usually a good sign that it's a scam. So I was trying to make sure that we've got enough time for questions. So it's about, that's what I've got for now. There's plenty of other scams and issues that we can talk about, but I want to see if there are any questions or issues on this.
Anyone have questions for Jonathan? Jonathan, I've got a couple. What recourse do you have if you get scammed? Let's say that someone's infiltrated your computer. I guess that goes back to one of our earlier, I think it was our April 1st Refocus and Rebuild, is to have insurance.
Yep.
But at this point, there's really no legal much you can do.
And part of the issue is that these people just disappear. Part of the issue is that you've got a lot of scammers originating in India. Not to pick on India, it's just that's a hard cold fact. There's a lot of people in India that are originating these scams or are the ultimate destination for the money. So scammers come from all over. We see scam attempts from basically every single country, including plenty from the U.S. But because you've got a lot of call centers in India, there's a ton of stuff that's set up for that, and so a lot of the tech support scams that we see or interact with are from people in India, and so you're not getting that money back. Like, that's just all there is to it. So the better option is just don't get taken in the first place.
True. That's the goal.
Yep.
Cindy, do you have any?
I don't have any questions. I don't think it was really good information, and I think something that everybody is dealing with.
I think
through the VCCS system. It seems like almost daily we're getting notifications from our IT department, about some scam that's come out, and we don't all necessarily get it, but some do, and they look rather authentic.
That's our IT department has been great to do trainings for staff. And one of the things that when I get one of those phishing emails, for example, it may say that it's from our CEO, but if you look at where those emails from, it's from a Gmail account. And, it's doing those little extra checks before you click on anything.
Yep. And in my case, the example from a couple of weeks ago, the only reason I even replied was because the Outlook has an option that says external recipient, like it's got a notifier that you're replying to someone outside the organization. And in this case, because they were impersonating someone inside the organization, I didn't get that alert that said external, even though it was a Gmail account, but because it had the name of the person inside the organization, I didn't get the alert that says. So that's the only reason I even replied to it. And if I'd just taken that extra 10 seconds, I would have immediately forwarded it to the person managing the email security. I mean, in my case, as soon as he said gift cards, I'm like, no, that's not that. The jig is up. But he got further than he would have because I was too dependent on Outlook to tell me that it was an external recipient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't do my due diligence. That's what that comes down to.
That's true. And I tell my 90-year-old mother all the time, if it's not a number, if it's not coming from somebody don't answer it. Like you said earlier, if they know they have a live number that works, you will continually be bombarded by calls. So if you don't know it, don't. But then she gets mad, and I've got her these air horns to run the deer off out of the garden, and sometimes she blows that into the phone. And I asked her, what's that going to do? She said, I don't know, but it makes me feel better. But just don't answer the phone.
So, Jonathan, you mentioned earlier that you had opened an email in Notepad.
So what I did is I saved the email, and I saved the attachment to my computer, and then because it's an HTML, I opened it in Notepad, which is not going to run the code that was dangerous. So that allowed me to view the contents of it in a safe manner.
Okay.
I would not recommend someone, doing that. It's just that, this is what I do for a living. So
yeah, okay. But there is a way that it could be done if you knew what you were doing.
Yes, yeah, I can open it and view it, but I wouldn't recommend,
Okay.
And that was more because I was trying to see what the contents were to be able to talk about it intelligently, or at least understand what they're trying to do.
Okay.
I read about the meat packing company that got hit last week, and I think they paid $11 million. I think it's what it said yesterday. I saw it on Facebook or something that they paid $11 million to get back up and running. And as you said, these folks are making tons of money, and it's really challenging to stop them.
And actually, it's gotten to the point where scammers will target companies that have a known cybersecurity policy because there's a higher chance that they're going to get paid. So it's getting to the point where insurance companies are dropping cybersecurity because of the risk of compromise. So even if you go through and follow all their things and get all the security stuff in place, you still get ransomware, and they're being forced to pay out. Well, now those premiums are going up, or they're getting dropped entirely. So that's a trend that is not good.
Jonathan, do you see any companies doing anything to their employees that do click that? I mentioned earlier, we've gone through the training, multiple trainings from IT, and then somebody does click on that, and it affects the entire thing. Do you see that they're doing any disciplinary things with those employees? Just curious.
I have not personally seen it. We actually have one client where the same employee did it twice. And if there were any punishment, I never heard about it. So I guess some of it is what could you do financially? I mean, because if it's something that's costing millions of dollars, I mean, I don't care how good of an employee I am, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars, right? Like, there's only so many people that would even be able to financially pay back that money. So what are you gonna do? Squeeze money from somebody that doesn't have it? I mean, I guess you could fire them, but what else will that do? I guess it's not, it's really on a case by case basis. But whatever disciplinary actions that have been taken, it's not either been publicized or I've not heard about it. So,
Sandy, I know for the community college where I work, they will, if from time to time, I guess they send out test emails.
Oh, yeah.
And if people click on it, they're required to take additional training.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe companies could implement something like that, but I don't know. I guess it depends on the severity as to how they're disciplined.
Yeah, like the employee that clicked on from the meat processing and it cost the company 11 million in ransom money to get it back. I mean, oops, just doesn't seem to. Sorry.
What
But
do you
it's
make
so
them
easy
pay
to
back
do.
$11 million?
To click on that is so easy to do. I mean, I could see how, I just live in fear that that's going to happen to me one of these days.
Well, and I know that I think everybody in the VCCS system has now incorporated this two-factor authentication.
Yep, that's huge.
So, which is sometimes a little bit frustrating, when you're moving to different locations and working, but
So that's a great security to keep someone out of your account, but that won't stop you from clicking on a link that you hit.
right, true.
So it does fix some of the problems.
And you mentioned earlier about apps for your phone, depending on your cell phone service. I have Verizon, they have an app. There's a number of others that I have on my phone that, and it tickles me when I get a thing to pop up on my phone, spam caller, or potential spam. But there's things that you can do, and also check your phone company if you still have landlines to see what you can do.
Yeah, and because we have we have a landline here at the house, but it's not it's not published anywhere. Whereas my work number is out there because it's all on marketing and it's on a website and it can be scraped by web crawlers. So I get 5 to 10 phone calls a day from even local numbers. Sometimes it's 423 numbers because we're in Tennessee. They're all scams. There's no one on the other end. There's a robodialer or someone trying to and it doesn't I've got the Verizon call filtering, and that's great, but that doesn't stop them from the fact that they have my number and the fact that my number is published and it's out there, because I do want people to call me. Like I do want for sales, I want people to call me, but that cuts both ways.
And even if they have that option at the end of that long play of why they're calling, and it gives you an option to hit 1 or hit 2 to opt out, it seems like you're still getting calls.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Come on, FCC, do something. I thought they were going to work on that.
Is the do not call.gov, is that still?
I mean, it's effective? There, but that's pretty much useless.
I have all my numbers listed there, but I'm still getting the calls.
Here's a hint: the scammers don't respect the law.
I'm sorry.
And it's so easy, obviously, for them to pick up other people's numbers that appear valid. That's, and I know that I use my cell phone so much. I have so many clients that have my cell numbers.
Yep.
That it's, sometimes you do answer a phone call because you think it's valid and then it's not.
Yep.
Exactly.
I just want the option where I can find who called me and then drone strike them or something.
Yes, that would be good. Well, Jonathan, thanks once again for your partnership, for your professionalism and sharing your experience. This has been a great series. As I say, we started in February the 4th, and it's hard to believe that we've done 10 sessions already. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of content out there that we've been able to produce, and I know it's being seen. And again, thank you. And from Virginia Community Capital, I also want to thank our partners that's been in this with the Small Business Development Centers, the UVA's College at WISE, Office of Economic Development, and of course with you, Jonathan. We couldn't have done it without you. So that's what we do here, is we rally together, and our goal is to help our business community, our business and nonprofit community. So I hope that you found value over the past months. And, you never know. We might be contacting you and say we're having another series. And that brings up, if there's a topic that you would like for us to cover, whether that be IT, whether that be marketing, finance, whatever it is, drop me an email and let us know. We're doing this for you, our business community. So we want to provide you with valuable content that you need. So the ball's in your court now. We want to hear from you. So again, thanks everybody. Partners, anything you want to say before we close today?
Thanks for letting us come and speak. We had a great time.
Just certainly want to thank everybody for their participation. And if you all have needs that the SBDC can assist you with, please reach out.
And okay, well, I hope everybody has a blessed day. And again, thank you so much for your partnership. And again, we want to hear from you. If there's something we can do, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.